So, 2-minute tip, episode 2. So, in episode 1, I promised that I was going to do a little bit more about the way I mix colors. But I realized I should step back one little step, half a step, and talk about comfort in the studio. If you're like me or any other professional artist or somebody who's trying to become professional, you're going to spend most of your hours in the studio. Now, I stand a lot of the time, but I also sit. I sat today so that I could work the camera a little better. But what I was doing earlier on in my career, and I did it for a long time actually, I don't know why it took me so long to figure this out, but I would paint, I'm generally right-handed, I paint with both hands typically. I used to paint with both hands a lot more when I was early in my career, but I injured my arm and had a surgery, and it gets a little stiff and sore, so I don't paint with my left hand as much as I used to. So I've always sort of positioned my palette on the right side, and I've had my model up on the right hand side and then the canvas here. So I guess I'm into the tip now, so we should probably roll the clock. Forgot about that. Okay, so let's roll the clock right now, boom, and we'll carry on. And I'm not going to make it anyway, so who cares? So anyway, I would be constantly painting on kind of a triangle, and it was brutal. It was causing a lot of neck problems. I was getting headaches from my neck constantly being out. This muscle was actually getting quite a bit bigger than this muscle. So I finally figured out every time I would use my left hand, though, because I had a second little palette set up for that, I would notice a little bit of easing of tension over here. So when my left hand became less available to me, I just thought, well, how can I make that work more often? So I came up with this setup. So I have my computer over here, and then I have a separate monitor here. I've run a high definition HDMI cable over to the monitor. So I put my reference up here, and this is whether I'm doing anything from life or not. I mean, in the early days, if I was painting a portrait from life or a still life or anything, it would always be just to the right for whatever reason, and it was causing all that trouble. So now I just always have it in whatever range feels the best for me in terms of the angle I'm looking for that subject. But if I'm working from a photo, it's always on the left, and the reason is because of this. If I turn around, you'll see I get a full range of motion, and I actually have a good torque here. It's stretching this muscle a little bit for me. So I get a little bit of give there, so I can kind of mix my colors here, look over there, mix, look, and I get this constant motion that's really, really helpful, and then I paint, and then I look. So that full range of motion is just really, really good for me. The other thing that I think we'll talk about real quick and see if we can squeeze it in, we know how that goes, is the arrangement of my brushes, and that'll sort of slide us into episode 3, which will be a little bit more about how I mix colors a little bit, just an introductory thing into that. So here is my nice, neat, orderly brush layout. Now I'm using different brushes all the time, so it's not always the same brushes. But let's say, I take a big one and I start blocking in, mix a little bit of paint, throw it up on the canvas, and then I put this down. This is now wet, it's got paint in it, so it goes on this side. This is all the fresh, unused brushes. Now maybe I want a little bit more detail, but I still want a rough, bristle, hard brush. So I'll use this little guy. It should go right there. That way I always remember big to small and as I go. So now I'm getting into a little bit of detail. Let's grab a really small one. So let's say now this guy's in use. So I'm just doing some nice little delicate work. That should go there. But let's say in the heat of the moment, I kind of throw it there. Well, now I'm kind of getting mixed up, so I might end up losing it even. It isn't where it needs to be. So not even sure if it's actually wet or dry. What if it rolls over here and I think it hasn't been used yet? So let's put it over here where it belongs. Grab one of these other guys, put that there, get these back over where they belong, throw this one in there, and there you go. Now, couldn't be simpler, couldn't be easier, but do I actually do it? Full disclosure, no, I don't actually do it. Most of the time I do. I should say most of the time I do, but when I'm really in the heat of the moment and I'm really just grooving along, I often forget. But here's the thing. It drives me crazy every single time I forget, because I always have to hunt and peck. And if I finally find the one that I'm looking for, I kind of look up there and I'm kind of looking there and I'm down there and I got it. Oh, great. Now I have to recall the moment. That sends me through the roof. So we should probably start a support group for all of us disorganized artists. How many of you are in that category? So yeah, in terms of full disclosure and just keep this relationship as transparent as possible, so you know you can trust me. I do mess this up a solid 40% of the time, I would say. But you know what? I'm trying. I'm getting there, and it helps. This is the key. This is why it's a tip for me, is that every time I do put the brushes where they belong, consistently, I paint quicker and better. That's the key. So, 2-minute tip, episode 2. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, get value, all that stuff. In the meantime, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and we'll see you in episode 3.